Hey everybody, we're going to take the next month to do an in-depth look at a piece of music that was written during the last pandemic. One of the things that I thought would be really interesting to do with you would be to compare how artists reacted and composers reacted to the first pandemic versus this current pandemic that we're in. And as part of that process, I did a lot of research, and the piece that I landed on was a piece by one of my favorite composers, Igor Stravinsky. He represents the neoclassicism. He is an amazingly creative composer. He wrote ballets, he wrote symphonies, he wrote The Firebird, he wrote Rite of Spring, he wrote a jazz band clarinet concerto that I love playing. I mean, he just has written a lot of music. And when the pandemic hit, he wrote this piece called The Five Easy Pieces, and I'll let you learn about the story of that as part of the project. But as an overview, and we're actually listening to it right now, I don't know if you can hear it in the background. As an overview, our goal is for you to take some primary source material from the 1918 pandemic, and you're going to learn how to take a piano piece and arrange it for a string ensemble. The arranging process I've found to be really valuable. It's really fun to take someone else's work and tweak it and kind of make it your own, and to change the instrumentation adds a unique challenge. And as part of that, we'll use the flat.io software. And kind of like the other thing that you learn about is like what makes this piece neoclassical, and what does that really mean, and what was the neoclassical period in the history of Western art music, and kind of where it's coming from, and how does it influence how we see aesthetics today. So let's dive right in. Over here, there are 5 pieces, obviously. There's 5 movements, there's 4 groups. So, boom. We're going to skip one. We're going to skip the hard one, which is the one that you just heard. It's in 3/8 time. It's very rhythmically complex, and I just don't think it'll work very well for soundtrack. So over here is the music. It's laid out kind of weirdly. It's written for 2 pianists, right? So this is piano player number 1, and this is piano player number 2. So segundo is the second player, and primo is the first player. It doesn't mean like that one's harder. It just means that's higher, because the pianists would be sitting next to each other on the piano. Okay. The way that you would take a piece of piano music and put it into orchestra is by looking at the clefs. So immediately I'm thinking, well, this could be a violin part up here because it follows that violin line, and this could be a second violin part. It really looks exactly like a second violinist. This would be a great cello or bass line, and this would be a great viola line. Now, for those of you that don't play the viola, it's a little bit harder to figure out like, oh, what would make a good viola line, right? Well, the viola line's right in the kind of the middle of the orchestra. It's sort of the heart and the center of the orchestra in terms of sound. However, the viola plays in a different clef. So part of this process, we're going to have to teach you how to transpose into alto clef, okay, which is what the violists are going to have to learn how to read treble clef to make this all work. Okay. So what you want to do first is you want to listen to the whole piece, kind of get a good general sense. When you're scrolling through, just note that like every other page, right? Because now we have the second movement, primo part. Scroll down, second movement, segunda part. Okay. The first thing I want you to do for your assigned movement is to make a map of the piece using symbols. So in other words, you're going to make a timeline. This is the first thing that happens. Here's the second thing. Here's the third thing. And be creative. Use your markers, right? Get out the art supplies. It doesn't have to be a digital representation. You can make it be images and symbols. This will be like a group activity that you do during a Google Meet session at the same time. So one person makes the map and everybody else kind of talks about the music and listens to it and say, oh, this feels like a triangle, or this feels like a circus ball, or whatever it feels like to you, okay? The other thing you need to do is you need to label your measure numbers. After we get through that process, we'll kind of dive into the sort of details about how you're going to translate piano music into string music later on in the month. But I wanted to give you an overview. At the end of the process, you will have arranged the piece using flat, you will have practiced it on your own, and you will record it collaboratively in Soundtrap, and then you will make a video. So we're going to see this. This is going to be a big kind of a long-term goal of ours, to take it from piano part Stravinsky to chamber ensemble string video presentation. I'm excited to take this journey and revisit some music from 102 years ago. Take care. Have a great day.